Welcome to a new episode of the Sustainability Channel. I'm Thomas Stanley and I'm your host. And let's start today's news update by having a look at an article from the Sustainability magazine. And they're asking, how sustainable is the Super Bowl? So we all watched the Super Bowl last Sunday, and it was a great game. But how sustainable was it? Think Super Bowl, and sustainability doesn't immediately spring to mind. As the most watched sporting event in the US, with a record 115.1 million viewers watching in 2023, the Super Bowl has some staggeringly unsustainable statistics behind it. Like the 1,000 private jets expected to fly to Las Vegas for this year's Super Bowl, or the extensive travel miles and 215 million US dollars estimated spend on food and beverage, hotels, and merchandise by some 72,000 fans. Then there's the estimated 2 tons of food waste generated. So this has a large impact on sustainability. And from the energy consumption needed to power stadiums to the travel expenditure and food waste, like many huge sporting events, the Super Bowl has a substantial footprint associated with it. But change is afoot, and the NFL's Super Bowl is on a mission to green its events. So can this Super Bowl be the greenest yet? For the first time ever, Super Bowl will be fully powered by renewable energy, as an example. More than 621,000 solar panels in the Nevada desert was used to 100% power the Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. That's not the only sustainability credentials behind the Las Vegas Stadium, whose roof, for instance, is made from a recyclable plastic material that provides climate adaptability, insulation, self-cleaning, and durability. And what's more, the stadium has put in place measures to deal with waste. Rather than end up in landfills, around 12,000 pounds of food waste from the Super Bowl will be collected and donated to local livestock farms and used to feed the animals. Launched last year by the Super Bowl League, NFL Green is an initiative that leads community projects to restore ecosystems and habitats, from tree planting to reforestation. And a quote here, the Super Bowl is here and gone, but when we are able to implement these greening projects throughout the community, it leaves a lasting legacy and just an impact that lasts for years to come, says Susan Grew from NFL Green. This isn't the first time the Super Bowl has taken a more sustainable path. Waste management, for instance, has been a key focus earlier, from recycling to composting. In 2020, the Hard Rock Stadium aimed for zero waste, following a collaboration with recycling centers and a compost facility. Super Bowl stakeholders, including the NFL, are also using certified carbon credits to offset emissions, including emissions caused by flying to the event. And let's continue with an article from Fox Business, who are writing about a report, and its headline, "Costly ESG standards, climate policies will ultimately reduce food and energy supplies." Climate change policies and environmental, social, and governance (ESG) standards will have an outsized negative impact on the US agriculture industry, according to a new report shared with Fox Business. The report, published Wednesday by the free market think tank Buckeye Institute, is titled "Net Zero Climate Control Policies Will Fail the Farm," and outlines how farmers will see their operational cost rise by an estimated 34% as a result of net zero ESG policies. And a quote here from the authors, "Europe has tested many of these policies aggressively for years, and the results have been an unmitigated failure. Despite these resounding warnings from the European counterparts, US policymakers have recommitted American industry to the same net zero emission standards and have imposed the same kinds of costly mandates on farms and businesses that will ultimately reduce food and energy supplies without achieving their intended benefits." And in the report, they developed a model for a hypothetical corn farm. And as a result, diesel fuel prices needed for trucks, tractors, and combines increased, Propane needed for power grain dryers and heat barns increased in price, and prices for the nitrogen fertilizer needed to grow crops also rose. And the average American family of four's household grocery bill would increase by roughly $1,300 per year. Overall, the prices of common grocery items, including American cheese, would increase 78%, beef would increase by 70%, rice would tick up 56%, chicken would see a 39% increase, and eggs would be 36% more expensive. And quote more here, oil and gas producers, chemical companies, and the American farm will likely shoulder the heaviest compliance burden, but they will inevitably share the cost with US consumers. So that was an interesting way to look at it from a critical view. We know that some US politicians and policymakers are critical about ESG implementation. Another article here from Information Week about AI that elevates sustainability. As climate change accelerates, disruption surge, and enterprise sustainability demands pile up, there's a growing recognition that business as usual isn't sufficient. It's becoming increasingly difficult to juggle spreadsheets filled with tens of thousands of suppliers and PDF files that contain snapshots of diverse fragments of business operations. Organizations are now turning to artificial intelligence tools to navigate complex sustainability issues, including carbon reduction and various risks associated with weather, water, energy, biodiversity, sourcing, and supply chains. And these AI tools, which increasingly tap machine learning and generative AI frameworks, automate data flows and spot patterns and trends, often at a level humans can't see. Simply running AI itself, however, takes a toll on the environment. AI's potential benefits to sustainability goals must be balanced against those costs. So, as businesses take aim at the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, establishing a more advanced sustainability framework is essential. AI is emerging at the center of sustainability. According to a September 2023 IT sustainability study conducted by IBM, 37% of business leaders report that their firms are already actively using AI for sustainability, and an additional 40% plan to use it soon. Despite some attempts to politicize sustainability, mostly in the US, as we have mentioned earlier, virtually no one is pulling back on sustainability investments, and the role of AI is evolving rapidly, says Christina Shim from IBM. The value of AI is particularly apparent as sustainability data piles up and organizations attempt to gain broader and deeper insights into Scope 3 emissions that they don't directly control. Shim says she has seen companies that wind up with upwards 30,000 suppliers and partners packed into a spreadsheet. Unfortunately, no single AI tool, technology, or solution can address the entire challenge, and AI can't eliminate the hard work of making actual changes in sourcing, manufacturing, or packaging. You don't want to use a hammer to do the job of a screwdriver. It's important to match AI tools with the right tasks. Large language models that encompass generative and foundational AI, for example, can condense hundreds of thousands of pages of documents and deliver useful summaries. According to IBM, 72% of executives now approach sustainability as a revenue enabler rather than cost center. And a quote here, lastly, someone must be around to analyze the results and make sense of the relevant facts and information. So that's important to know that AI can't do the job by itself. We need to be there to interpret the information and the statistics. So that's all for today. Over and out, and live a sustainable life.